So how to enjoy running? Question I do actually get asked quite a lot. Usually off sort of, you know, people like family members and my nan, but also people who've just sort of started out running. You know, maybe do once or twice a week. They sort of ask, you know, how do you go out 4 or 5 times a week running and cycling? I don't you get bored? So just gonna give you some sort of tips and tricks that I do that you know, not only keeps me running, stops me from getting bored. We'll go through those now, but we've got a 2k warm-up. We're doing 4 minutes on a 4 minute 30 or below pace. We're doing a 2 minute float, literally just a walk if I feel like I need to, or be something like literally just like this. But in the 2 minute floats, I'll reconvene and we'll sort of we'll go through what the next ones are. But the very first one, while I've got a quick 0.5 kilometers until the session gets started, is of course my biggest top tip for any new runner or current runner, just to run slow. You know, not every race or run that you do needs to be done at max intensity, because it's just pointless. Like, A, it will just make you just dislike running. B, longevity wise, it's not even that much good, or it's not even that good for you. I've heard everyone banging on about Zone 2, but they bang on about it for a reason. That's because it is so important. Too many times I've got friends now who've just taken up running, and he gets 3 runs in a week on his lunch break, great, but every run is just a 5k, and all he ever tries to do each new run, is beat the last 5k's time, which I've tried to explain to him is mental, but they're the sort of things that eventually, in a little while, he's just going to stop going on runs, because he's just going to be so tired out doing it, the same 5k all the time. And it's just not something that you do to sort of keep you running. So that's tip number 1. Run slow. Obviously, putting in your interval sessions, your hill sprints, your tempo runs is great, especially, you know, you got a race or something. But if you just want to run for a bit of a hobby, lose some weight, get out, feel good, just run your 5k slow. Makes no difference what time you do it. Who cares? Running 5k is better than running no kilometers. But we're nearly at my 2k warm-up mark, so I'm gonna put it in my pocket, do my 4 minutes, and then we'll sort of come back and forth as we go. Gives you something different on the background as well, keeps you from getting bored. Point number 2, shoes. So important. For years I ran an old pair of Brooks, and to be fair, they were unreal. I ran a 3:15 marathon, a 70-minute 5k, and I wore them. They probably racked up about 800-900 kilometers, and I never knew, again, I don't know why I didn't realise this, but shoes obviously after a certain amount of time just lose the balances, lose the spring, lose the support. So then this year I went out and bought a brand new pair of running shoes, and oh my word, the difference that you have just from running in a proper pair of shoes with full support is crazy. Again, people probably go, that's pretty obvious, but again, if you're a new runner, you know, you just run with whatever shoes you got that you think's best. Now again, I got friends who run in Nike Reacts. They're not proper running shoes. So I've told him, he's bought himself some Hoka Bondis, and he's just gone, it's incredible the difference you get, the spring, and again, that just gives him that enjoyment of running more than running in, you know, flat shoes, not much spring in them, probably bad as well for your ankles and your calves. And again, if you're not running in proper shoes and you get ankle pain, foot pain, all that sort of stuff, again, it's just going to be one of the things that puts you off your running because you just don't enjoy it. So yeah, tip number 2, get some proper shoes. A lot of people say, oh, they're really expensive, but they're not. You go on like sportshoes.com, you know, you pay 80 quid for a pair. I got some Hoka Arahi 6s, $79.99 next day delivery. You know, those people who say, oh, that's too expensive, probably spend, you know, 60 quid on a night out on the booze. So yeah, definitely invest in a proper pair of running shoes, and you'll be good to go. Feels way better. Reason number 3, or tip number 3 to how to enjoy running, is to get comfortable attire. Things like a proper breathable t-shirt or vest, proper shorts with zip pockets if you fancy it, if you want to put your phone in. If not, again, if you feel comfortable wearing a vest, do it. Feel comfortable having one of them stomach bands, again, do it. A big one that I always wear is I always wear undershorts, and that's a big one to stay comfy for me. Again, I always land a cane. Last thing I want halfway through a run is to be chafing. That's just, you know, it's just not fun for anybody. And also, so as it sounds, to invest in some running socks. For years I just ran in, you know, Nike socks because I wanted to be cool and wear Nike, but their normal standard socks are not for running. Again, I've got some Pure Sport running socks and they're unreal. They dry super quick, super comfy, pad in all the right places. Again, they are £12 a pair of socks basically, but just anything that makes you feel comfy. Don't want to be sweating, don't want to be sore, don't want to be chafing or rubbing. So anything like that that stops it, you know, absolutely go for it, and that should hopefully mean you enjoy your runs a little bit more, just because you're not feeling all that disgustingness from wearing uncomfortable clothes. But that's my float done pretty much again, so back in your pocket, another 4 minutes. Tip number 4, mix up your training. Simple. If you do 5Ks every day, you get bored. Do something a bit different, you know, a 3K on a Tuesday, run it a little bit faster than you normally would. Do your normal 5K on a Thursday, and then your Saturday do, you know, an 8 or a 9K. Or mix it up however you want, long to short, short to long. Just makes training every single time that little bit different. Coupled in with that is obviously doing different routes. If you just run the same 5 kilometre square every time, like, that just sounds boring just talking about it. So do your 3K around a certain loop, do your 5K down a different loop, do your 9 or 10K down a completely different route, maybe even, you know, drive somewhere new. Just anything to keep it from getting monotonous and boring. Even, you know, some people, I must admit, they don't necessarily live in a very good location where, you know, they can do different routes. Maybe it might be a case where, you know, you don't drive either. You live like out on the stick somewhere. If that's the case, it probably sounds silly, but mentally, doing different lengths of running at different times of the day can also like change it completely. If you have a run every morning at 5 AM and then maybe, you know, your long run, still doing the same sort of route, obviously going a bit further back before coming back, but you maybe go at dusk, you see everything just that little bit differently. And I think that would be sort of the best way you can cope with something if you are one of those unfortunate people that just live, you know, in the middle of nowhere and, you know, maybe got one road that goes on for 3 or 4 miles to even reach to get like the next sort of house. But I mean, top tip, changing routes, changing your distances, running at different times of the day, just makes every run just feel that little bit different, stop you getting bored. Right, that is all 5 rounds done. That was really quite tough. To feel at the start of this, I don't know, I said it was going to be a 4 minute 30 sub pace. it wasn't. It was 4 minutes at a sub 4 minute a kilometre, so pretty much aiming for a kilometre for every time it was on. I think it actually ended up being about a 2:30 float in between each. Didn't quite realise how quickly the time of the camera took up. What I'll do though is I'll put the Strava thing there, and then we'll get on to number 5 tip to enjoy running. That is a fairly obvious one. Just being social. Nowadays, running so sort of like done. There's so many run clubs and whatnot you can join, you know. Obviously, if you live in a city, you've got your park runs, or I live in towns, you've got your park run. In London, you know, you see they've all got sort of pure sport park runs. But as well, like my little village, on a Wednesday, they organise it in like their Facebook village group chat, and they all go and do 5k together. Obviously, if you've got friends as well who like to run, maybe invite them for one the next time you're going to go. Again, just stops that boredom. And as well, what you'll find, so if you go for a run with a friend, you sort of forget that you're actually running. You just sort of run with them, chatting away, and then before you know it, you've sort of done, you know, 6 or 7k, and it's like, oh, it's over already. So that's always good. Obviously, on the flip side of that, if you don't, you know, have anybody to run with, you can always ask family members, you know. You might have a loved one, maybe they've got a bicycle, you know, ask them just to come out on it while they're on the bike. Obviously, they'll probably be going a lot slower than you'd be running, being on a bike, but again, you've got someone there, have a chat, have a catch up. It's even actually better if they're on a bike, because they can take like your bottle of water and stuff for you. So if you do get a bit hot, a bit tired, they'll have your water, maybe some food if obviously you're doing a longer run with them. But yeah, tip number 5. To be fair, there's so many tips you can do, but I'm going to carry on running because I've got a 2k cool down now that should take me to about 11.5 kilometers. So I'm going to do that properly. And there we have it. My first interval session done for a long time. 11.5 kilometers, I think it was in the end. Literally, like, again, it was bang on an hour total time. Like I said earlier, we're doing the tip number 6, so the last one, and that is just mixing up sort of the terrain. I get a lot of people obviously say, oh, I just like running on the roads, oh, I just like running, you know, trails, and that's well and good, but again, just that repetitiveness of just doing the same sort of stuff all the time, it just, pardon me, it's just going to bore you. So if you're predominantly, you know, a road runner, you know, every now and again, just go and pick a track somewhere, you know, maybe got a bit of elevation, maybe it's got, you know, actual mudded pathway sort of thing. Have a little loop round there, so much more enjoyable. Again, if you're someone who just does track, again, I guess just going on the roads, doing a bit of trail stuff, again, just changes it up. And obviously on the flip side, if you are a trail runner, a lot of the time, obviously, not a lot of your work is done based on speed. So again, just getting out on the road, picking up a course, you know, that's pretty flat or downhill is probably going to be a lot different than what you normally do doing trails. Not only is it going to keep you sort of, you know, stimulated by doing something different, but again, it's always just going to help, because if you're doing a trail run, you know, you're averaging, you know, 6-7, you know, minutes a kilometre, maybe you're running, you know, 30 Ks over the Peak District, for example. Just going out and doing, you know, a very fast 5k, which is something that you probably only do, you know, once a month, just is so much more enjoyable than just doing the same repetitive thing all the time. So yeah, that's final tip, tip number 6. Oh, it's absolutely roasting. I'm sweating. I've got like the salt from the sweat's like dripped into my eyeballs. But yeah, how to enjoy running. Thank you so much for watching. But yeah, I hope you all take something from this. If you do watch it, please do implement some of the things I said, especially if you are a new runner. Just because running is just so beneficial for you, keeps you so healthy, and if you can just keep running and keep it up, you know, over multiple months, like, you are just going to get way fitter. And again, just creating, you know, that group sentiment, I think that's the right word, with runners is always good. You know, more people at run clubs, more people joining at races, more people, you know, you just see out on the road keeping healthy. It's a win-win really for everybody. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please do like, rate, comment, subscribe, whatever it is that, you know, they will ask you to do, and catch you in the next one.